Antoine Lavoisier was a brilliant fellow, and along with his wife Marianne Pauls, he discovered the law of conservation of mass. They helped build the metric system, and he discovered the role of oxygen in a little chemical reaction called combustion. A chemical reaction is a process whereby elements undergo a chemical transformation upon their interaction. For example, the rusting of iron by oxygen, or heat transforming an egg, or when two people come together to produce a beautiful, beautiful daughter. Or for example, when you take rails, military operations, resource management, and the great old ones to produce a very, very odd game. Now Lavoisier, the poor bastard, killed himself shaving with the guillotine in 1794, but Martin Wallace is still very much alive. And thus today we talk about AuZtralia. In the world of AuZtralia, Sherlock Holmes vanquished an ancient squid dictator, and so now players must explore the titular country to build a new haven for humankind. To do this, they will lay down some track, mine for resources, build farms, hire help, and recruit soldiers. All these actions take time. So for example, if you want to hire someone, that's one time. If you want to hire someone again, that's another time and 1 gold to repeat an action. And then if you want to build 2 rails across the mountains, that's 3 time. 1, 2, 3. Now it's the yellow player's turn. Whoever's last on the time track is the active player. So this is about managing your time so that you can expand faster and smarter than your opponents. You can chain loads of actions together, but that will probably mean, like I did here, that you'll spend about 3 years before being your turn again, so you must keep that in mind. As my uncle used to say before the stroke that killed him back in 2002, the early bird gets the worm, but the smart bird gets the phosphate. When everyone reaches 23 on the time track, the great old ones awaken and effectively become another player competing for victory. Whenever they move into a glowing space on the time track, you must draw an event card, and usually these will mean that an old one on the map awakens. Once they do, they will start moving towards the closest farm or port. If they reach a farm, they will destroy it. And if they reach a port, you must be prepared to defend it. For if they destroy it, the game is over. And whoever has the most points wins, including Team Cthulhu. So you must invest a considerable amount of time into developing your military. Because you must be prepared to defend your people and cleanse the invading scum for freedom. But more often than not, you will be actively pursuing and hunting them down on the map, killing them in their sleep. So the game is arguably divided into 2 parts. There is preparation up until here, and then annihilation until the end of the game. So mistakes made during the first part will take a serious toll on your ability to annihilate later on, but hopefully never to the point in which you'll rather be somewhere else, smoking cigarettes and reading Camus. This is not a co-op game, though. Players are racing for resources in the Australian outback. You need iron and coal to build rails, you need rails to expand, and you need to expand to build farms, you need farms to get money, you need money to pay for your military, and you need to pay for your military to survive a constant onslaught of Migos and zombies and Shoggoths and men that want to debate you online. Every moving piece, capital, time, logistics, staff must be considered to put your plan into action. And depending on what your jam is, it can be really exhilarating
to have your plans continuously thwarted by the most recent emergency, or it can be extremely frustrating to never have the time to do exactly what it is that you want to do. Tick tock, 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 tick tock.
Come, O brothers and sisters. The purple disk has moved, and it's now time to make the air we breathe proud of whom it feeds. We must stand together for the survival of our species. Come, come. Once more into the breach, dear friends. Once more. Choo choo. You know what I dig? Games that tell you a story. Not through text on cards or through books, but through the situations derived from their interlocking mechanisms. So to be more precise, it's not that the game is telling you a story. It's just giving players the room and the tools necessary to, if they are so inclined, infer a narrative from the events distilled by the game. And I think that's something precious and unique to this field of ours. AuZtralia offers you many stories. They're not the most varied stories, but they surely are human. And so I think it's time for another edition of Round the Table for Tales of Around. It was a three-sided affair in the Western map, and I was but a fool. My wife and I built our ports together, eager to have a friendly competition in the new continent. I was young, reckless, and like an age-impaired lobster, I was selfish, filled with certainties and the hubris that comes with it. As soon as I had a chance, I pulled a dirty trick on Elga. I made a move to block her access to gold and iron. So blind was I, so profoundly stupid, that all my decisions henceforth were the wrong ones, and all my attempts to amend them even worse. Soon I discovered that, unrestrained by her gentleness for yours truly, that lady could move fast. Alas, when the old ones began awakening from their slumber, I found myself alone, depressed, broke, and under attack by the forces of evil. A couple of months later, my wife, in her infinite patience, which at this stage had become undistinguishable from kindness, her love a long time ago transformed into charitable worry, sent a message to my port, and she said, "Listen, Jaime, I know you're too far down that hole to take my hand, but I know you are not far enough so that you can't hear me. So listen. We are running out of time, and there are still too many monster tiles face down on the map. Each one will score double for the bad guys at the end of the game. We have to dedicate every single resource we have to flip and kill them all. You must reveal the old tiles in your neighborhood. If necessary, I will help you pacify them, but reveal them you must." Of course, for my wife, it wasn't an easy proposition. Her army was powerful and feared nothing but old Cthulhu himself. For her, the complete eradication of our enemies was not just an existential necessity, but a smart financial investment. I had nothing to lose. Maybe if my small militia killed enough of them old guys, maybe I could score enough points to compete with my former lover. Maybe I would even gain her respect again, but suddenly, just when things were starting to look not too bad, I found myself face to face with a dilemma. Should I stray from the path and invest my remaining time mining for the golden points that would surely give me a nice pat on the bottom, if you know what I mean? Or should I reveal a level 3 old one and thus help the cause at the cost of potential self-destruction? If you know me at all, dear friends, you know what I chose. I dusted off my uniform, told my noble men to hug their sons and daughters extra hard, and forth we rolled on the train. Me and all my subordinates, head first into the gloom-engulfed wastelands, in search of my personal redemption. And as my men fell into the tentacled mouth of hell alive, I thought of my wife, my daughter, and of the bright future ahead of them. My final score was 12 points. But not everyone can be as righteous as your faithful narrator. The third player had her own arc. From the beginning of our adventure, she decided to not face the monsters at all. So while my wife and I were going through our own personal hell, she just built rails in circles, building farms and making money, as if the world that was collapsing was not her home too. When we told her that she had to help us or else we would all lose, she replied, "Maybe, but I'll lose less than you."
How wonderful is that? I'll lose less than you. How human.
And then, when the discs reached 45 on the time track, an old Shoggoth awoke. And he charged down into her farms, burning everything in its path until it reached her port. And she was unable to defend it. And so, up in smoke it went. Game over. AuZtralia truly is a strange and eccentric beast. I'm adrift in a sea of personal grief at the moment, but still, pushing those little cubes into their action spaces is always a fresh spring of good times. And sure, there is a lot of pain of having to repeat an action but not having the one gold necessary to do it. And there are the occasional moments of hilarity and tension, and the little push-your-luck combat minigame, where your entire fate depends on the icons on the next card you draw. And sure, sometimes you have to wait for what appears to be an eternity for your turn, but maybe plan a little better, and that won't happen, hopefully. But there are so many nerve-wracking decisions to make. Do I lay down track? Do I recruit troops? Do I hire new cards? Do I build farms? Tick-tock, tick-tock. Whatever you do, choose quickly, for time waits for no man. I've been Jaime Duarte, and I hope to have placed the worker in your hearts and in your minds.